service. What do you make of his comments?
I think it's an absolute disgrace, but I think it must be tied to what you were saying earlier about the military's virginity tests. And we have to, first of all, we have to define all of this as a form of sexual assault. So I think virginity tests within quotation marks is probably more appropriate. And I want to tie what the parliamentarian said to what the military did to Egyptian revolutionary women, because I put it into what I call the trifecta of misogyny. And the trifecta of misogyny is like a triangle, and each point of this triangle is the state, the street, and the home. And those three entities in Egypt oppress women. Together, they oppress women. And I think what that politician's comments did was to remind people that Egypt remains obsessed with women's so-called chastity, remains obsessed with virginity and hymens, and remains obsessed with the idea that women's bodies do not belong to them.
It's interesting because he's now come out and said, look, I've been misinterpreted. This was just a suggestion. I didn't make a demand. I made a suggestion, difference between the two. It sounds like this is a mindset that is very difficult to change.
It absolutely is, because, when it was first exposed by one of the women in March of 2011 that the military had subjected them to the sexual assaults in the forms of so-called virginity tests, many people didn't want to believe the women who exposed those crimes. But I was hearing myself on social media from several Egyptians who were telling me things like, well, one of my best friends was engaged to this guy, and after the engagement was broken off, he told her family, oh, you should have your girl checked, and her family took her and had her checked. So the fact that a family can take their daughter to a forensic doctor and ask to have him check her virginity is an absolute disgrace and an outrage in Egypt in 2016. And that's exactly why I'm connecting what this politician said to the crimes of the military against women in 2011. In Egypt, we have to start talking about sex. We have to start talking about women and our ownership of our bodies. And we have to break the taboo that allows men and allows politicians and allows the military and allows families at the end of the day to behave like they own women's bodies, when it is us, in fact, Egyptian women who own our bodies. Because also, the same politician a few weeks ago made more outrageous statements about female genital mutilation. Again, a reminder that Egyptian women don't own our bodies and that these crimes continue to be committed against them.
Thank you so much, Mona. That's Mona Eltahawy speaking there, reacting to Mr. Agina's comments. And just there, she mentioned the female mutilation. Earlier this month, he said that Egyptian women should undergo female mutilation in order to reduce their sexual desires because Egyptian men are sexually weak.
Unbelievable. It's coming to 17 minutes